No, this is yours. Mine too.
I didn't even take him out.
Yeah. 5:30, I'll call this meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety to order. If you could please rise for the Pledge of
Now you go ahead
Allegiance.
and do what you want to do.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll move next to roll call, noting Carol Traeger's absence. Clerk Treasurer Aldrich.
I'm here.
You already did it.
All right. Move next to the reading of minutes and approval. We have the minutes from January 15th, 2018. Are there any additions, subtractions, deletions, or amendments to be made to the set of minutes?
No, I move that we approve the January 15th minutes.
I will second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move that we approve the January 25, is that a work session? No.
Yes.
Yeah.
The 15th was the regular meeting, 25th.
Okay. The work session on January 25th, I move that we approve that, those minutes.
I'll second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move that we approve the February 2nd work session minutes.
I will second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move next, and I lost my format for agenda, so I forgot to put the approval of claims on here. So we have claims in the amount of $317,039.35. Do you have any questions regarding the claims?
Yeah, I got a question. I gotta find where, you're going too fast. I'm too slow. We got 2 water bonds, is that correct?
Yes.
And we pay those monthly?
No. Monthly, I put money over into a separate account so that when the payment is due January 1st and July 1st, the money is already there.
Okay.
So each month, that certain portion goes over into that account.
So we pay it twice a year?
Yes, January 1st and July 1st.
Do we know what the balances are on those? Are they running balances or?
It's in Gateway. If you go into Gateway, Gateway shows all 3 bonds. I amortized, and it shows you the payoff on them.
Okay.
And if not, you can stop in my office and I can go on
What's
Gateway.
the other bond? There's 2 water bonds
Then wastewater has one.
and wastewater. Okay.
The 2 bonds that water has, wastewater had another bond. I think we paid it off. Dick, you gotta help me. Was it
14.
2 years? 14?
14.
But in 2013, we went through a rate increase, and wastewater picked up a bond in 2013, and so did water. I always get them backwards. One's 1.4 million, the other's 1.9 million. The other bond that is in water was originally a bond from 2004, which was refinanced in a revenue-bearing bond, but and we refinanced it in 15, I think. I think middle of 15 we refinanced that. So that's your bond.
Do you have any further questions about the claims?
I move we accept the claims.
I will second. We have a motion and a second to approve the claims in the amount of $317,039.35. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next to department head reports. Do you have any questions, our department head? Do you want a short oral presentation to supplement the written one? Yes, Chief.
No, my apologies, I was looking, I looked at mine, I even asked questions about it.
extra copy, Steve?
Absolutely, thank you very much for asking.
Steve, what is the process for issuing handgun license? I assume these are carry permits?
That's right. They can be either personal protection, hunting a target, or protection permits. Yeah, they basically you fill out the form out on the state police's website, and then go get your fingerprints done, come here and get a criminal records check, and everything verified is fine. Then you pay $50 if you want a lifetime license, $10 for a 4-year license, which you can still get, and then you're approved. And basically what I do is I sign off, but once the amount's been paid here locally and your license or your criminal records check's been conducted.
We need to approve his report or not?
No, we haven't approved reports in the past.
Okay.
Do you have questions for our other department heads?
You may have answered this, Dick, about the difference between the water that's put out versus the water that's serviced through your department. You processed more than he put out. You processed 29 million.
Well, one thing is, they have wells.
Do they
Indiana
put-
Packers,
Okay, they put it in the sewer?
yes.
Okay.
I don't know what the percentage is though, Dick.
Do we have any knowledge or control of how much water they're actually pumping out of the ground, or you got any clue?
From their facility?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have any effect on our wells though.
They don't store any of that, they just pump it?
Correct, they can only use it for certain applications where it doesn't touch any of the processing stuff. I think once they use it like in their chillers or boilers or something, like
They-
enclosed,
They use it for some cleanup too, don't they?
not if it touches the processing floors or anything.
Okay.
Do you get water that comes into your system from storm or other things, or pretty
Oh,
much?
sure. Yeah. We got infiltration, yeah. Every place does. I mean, it's just like, what do they say, Indiana concrete? It's either broken or it's gonna break or crack.
Okay.
Any other questions for our department heads?
Wait a minute, I got another. No, I guess I didn't.
The only new business I have, and Superintendent Myers, I'll probably need your assistance on this. I don't think we're gonna make any final decisions today, but just an overview of the VAS from EJP. I don't know, I've got a copy up here.
Yeah, 'cause I don't have mine.
I got one.
I tried to explain it last week and thought you might be able to do a better job.
Basically, the VAS, it's value added services from EJP, which is a contractor we get all of our materials from, parts, clamp repairs, hydrants, duct iron pipe, plastic pipe, whatever. the perks of the value added service is they keep a running total of our inventory. So whereas we might have 12 clamps on hand right now, we could have like 3, and they keep a running total, and we use one and they'll just send us a new one. It locks some prices in, like ductile iron pipe, I believe for 90 days or,
I think it depends on the material.
yeah. There's no emergency call out charges for like taps or valve insertions. It don't cost us anything to be a value added customer.
Who determines the inventory levels?
That would be me and their salesman and EJP. We'd go through and tell them basically what we use, kind of get an idea of what we use, and keep it on hand.
So we want to do this because it saves us money?
It could possibly save us money on projects that we have coming up for the locked prices. Convenience, inventory wise, would be nice because they're like any other company too. They're not keeping a whole lot of stuff on hand. And we have old inventory down there that we probably never use, and they'll take all that stuff back. And
Credit you for the original price for that?
if they can probably not original price. A lot of stuff, if it's got lead in the brass, or a few years back they changed that rule. There's no lead in the brass. They wouldn't take that stuff back. It's basically a scrap value right now. There's perks to it. It's kind of more work for me to keep track of all the inventory, but we could save money by doing it.
My experience is with Fastenal, if you know what Fastenal is. And a couple of years ago, they came in and did basically the same thing, and they restock our bolt bends and all that kind of stuff. It seems to me that we've spent a lot more money on inventory. Now, we have the inventory, and they keep track of it. But I think the key is you making sure your inventory is at the level you need it to be and not what they want it to be.
Correct.
Because this is could be a boondoggle for them, in the sense that they could just load you with inventory unless you say, no, we don't need that much.
Right.
Because every dime you got in inventory is cost you money every day.
Right. And that's kind of where we're at now. We probably have more inventory. I'm sure we have more inventory than what we need. I don't usually just order 1 clamp at a time. I'll order 6 or whatever, when we start getting low type deals. So this way, we can put in, we want 6 on hand at all times. We use one, we put it in the computer. They ship us one type deal.
So when you put it in your computer, they get that information and they send you whatever it is. Do they come in and visually look at your inventory?
Every quarterly, I believe it was. Yeah, the local salesman would, and he usually stops by every other week, the way it is at least now. So they're the only ones that we really buy from, our inventory and stuff. So all of our specs for the water mains, the hydrants, meters, fittings is all through EJP.
Is there anything that they don't have that you need?
Nope. No, we used to use Utility Supply. We haven't used them for, I don't know, probably been a while. But they sell the same stuff as EJP, so.
Have anybody else offered you a deal like this?
No. No. There's no charge on our account. The way they kind of explained it is it really costs them a lot of money to get set up to do it.
Is it upfront? But
Yeah.
with them being our own
But
supplier
basically they're
material.
locking us into buying from them for however long. I
I
don't know
can't
if it's
remember what the
contract or not.
contractual provisions were. If we re-up annually,
Yeah.
or if it's on a multi-year basis.
Well, there's a lot of provisions in here. And I hope you read through all of them and know what they expect of you and what you can expect of them.
There is a point system. You get so many points for every $1,000 you spend, and type deal to buy stuff later.
I'm not gonna be skeptical, but by and large, deals like this are good for them. Now, we need to make sure it's good for us, and we need to make sure that if you keep track of what's going on, it'll be good for us. If not, and they load you up with inventory, it won't be good for us.
Correct.
And I think when we met with the guy that was selling this, he was actually recommending we go down to, what was it, like 4 to 6 months of
Inventory.
inventory stocked,
Yeah.
as opposed to whatever we have now, which I guess varies depending on the piece of material. Really, I
We
don't-
wouldn't be keeping like ductile iron pipe or plastic pipe. None of the stuff that we don't keep now, we wouldn't be storing. It's basically fittings, clamps, some poly pipe for service lines, stuff like that.
So
Couple
just
fire
enough for
hydrants.
emergencies, you have that kind of stuff on
Mhm.
hand.
I really don't see any detriment to it, at least if we continue operating as we have with most, if not all, of our materials being purchased from UJP.
I don't have a problem. The key is keeping the inventory under control, you knowing what's what you got, what you need.
And it would help us too on our yearly inventory, because we don't keep up with it now.
Do they give you an inventory list at the end of the year, saying this is what you have?
It'll all be computerized, and then they'll actually come in and count it to make sure it matches up to what the spreadsheets say. Yeah, right now we don't, we'll have to change a little bit too, because we don't mark down that we took out a meter L or 20 foot of pipe type deal, and we're gonna have to on this one. And it'll help for the guys to learn what the parts are and material is and stuff, I'd hope. So, also.
You have any other questions for Superintendent Myers? I don't want to approve this tonight, rather wait until the next meeting.
That's fine.
Just give an opportunity to look it over one more time.
I read through it, but there's a lot of stuff in there. I mean, there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts.
Mhm.
Just as long as you're not the wrong butt, you're in good shape.
All right, thanks Superintendent Myers. That's all I had for agenda items that we needed to act on. With Member Traeger absent, thought this would be a good time to talk to Superintendents Van Sickle and Myers. I know you wanted to get more information about the Water and Sewer Department. President Pro Tem Pearson, I believe you're the liaison to the Water Department. So if you want to participate in this discussion as well, that's what I'd like to do for the next half hour, 45 minutes. Just try to get caught up on where we are with our water and sewer departments today. So other department heads, Chief, Aaron, fine with you guys leaving, and we can continue to have this discussion on water and sewer departments if that works with you.
Good.
I'll just hang out, I got nothing to do, so.
All right. President Pro Tem Pearson, if you want to come up here, and I can scoot this table up, Craig and Dick, if we want to get a little closer.
We're pretty vague.
Thank you.
Pretty vague.
You have a preference on who we start with?
Well, start with water. One of the reasons that I asked to be more involved with a couple departments is that we face a lot of changes with our water and sewer in the next few years, and rather than try to understand all the departments, I thought maybe if I could understand what Craig would do, you know, better. There's gonna be a lot of community input, a lot of community interest. And I think, if you remember from our last meeting, we had a report from Umbaugh, which kind of indicated the amount of increase in water rates versus how much we spent in the next whatever. So if you spend an extra million, it would change water rates by a certain percentage or dollar amount. And when you start looking at that, it gets kind of scary when you get to spending a lot of money. I mean, it'd be double and triple sometimes.
For every
Water
million
rates.
we spend, it was an increase of $2.92
Yeah.
to the average residential bill. On the water side, wastewater side's a little different, it's lower.
But we need to not only talk a lot among ourselves, but we need to inform the public and keep people involved. And not only the council and the Board of Works, but with everybody else, so that when that happens, you're gonna get a lot of questions, you're gonna get a lot of issues that come up. And we need to be ready for those. We need to all understand and be ready for, because I think you saw in the paper the last time, there was some comments about that, and nobody wants to see their taxes go up, their water bills go up, anything else go up, and you're gonna get people, particularly people that are on fixed incomes and are pretty well stressed, are gonna be hit pretty hard, because you know, if your water bill goes from $50 to $100, that's a huge increase for a lot of people. I'm not saying those are the numbers, I'm just saying that it is gonna go up. The things that we're looking at doing, even the smaller group of things we're looking at right now, are gonna be in the millions, in the maybe 5, 6, 7 million, 8 million, 10 million. What we do, when we do it, and how it works out. So we gotta be talking to each other, and we gotta be ready to let people know what's going on. There'll be a time when we have to go to the council and say, we want a new bond. That's something the council has to approve. And I wanna make sure they all understand when we get there, what we're doing and why we're doing it. And it involves both of you guys, probably more than anybody, so.
Over here, Boris.
All right. Well, we want to get started about the state of your guys' departments right now as they stand. We can get into expansion, and I mean, Craig and I are probably still trying to digest the 3.5 or 4 hour long meeting we had this morning with Peerless and US Aggregates. But if we talk about where we are right now, and then use that to talk about the future later on, that's all right?
Do you can you share any of that stuff with us, what you heard this morning?
We're gonna get some numbers back from Peerless on cost to drill wells in the current aquifer. The current depths that we're thinking right now are either 400 or 500 feet. That would be integrated in with a aeration, so a sulfide treatment system. It did not, US Aggregates did not seem to indicate they would be going deeper in the next 5 years, but they left it open to go deeper in the future. So we've got to get those numbers and see what the cost could be for drilling the wells, bringing them over to aeration. Then we'd have to have a ground storage tank and booster stations. So there would be a lot in it, but there would be a lot less in that than if we went north. So ultimately, the decision is going to come down as to whether we want to go north, whether we want to stay in the same aquifer. And right now, we don't have enough financial data on what things are going to cost, at least on the staying in the same aquifer side, to really balance those. But there's opportunity we discussed quite a bit. I think the tall Tim was brainstorming the entire time we were there, about possibility of putting a new, well on the golf course, drilling a replacement to well 5 right next to well 5, drilling a new well north or northwest of well 5, drilling wells all over the place as possibilities. Not all of them, but looking at what we could do to protect ourselves for the next decade or two. Do you have anything?
Pretty much sums it up. It was a good meeting. A lot of information US Ag shared with us. And, apparently, we came up with some good ideas to get numbers back on to get us by for the next 10, 15 years.
Have they changed their tune about well 4 and well 5 in the last year since we talked to them?
We did have some discussion about that today. So if you look closely at the map and or the trend line, what you'll see is it generally goes down like this. I'm trying to do it for both of you. But within that, there are benchmarks. So well 4, I think, in 1999, it stayed kind of the same for a few months, and then it did a big drop, and then it stayed kind of the same for a few months, and it did a big drop, stayed kind of the same. 2009, when they were working on the canal, dipped down pretty good. Since about 2014, I think Fearless was saying, it's been benchmarked, and stayed relatively flat, which could mean a couple different things. It could mean that we're at equilibrium and we've really hit the bottom of what we're going to be at if US Aggregates doesn't change their operation, if they don't go deeper. It could mean that we're just flat right now and we're waiting to decrease again. So there's a couple different ways of looking at it. I don't think that Peerless had enough information about what US Aggregates had done back to 1999 to show, okay, if US Aggregates goes 50 foot deeper, then we solve this. I don't think that Peerless has that information as to what US Aggregates did to correlate with our data points.
Well, there are a lot of factors that can play into this, and certainly US Aggregates is a huge one because of our well 5 and well 4 in that area.
Yes, and it's a best guess answer. I mean, you don't know what Mother Nature's gonna do. Drought, if Stone Quarry hits a different vein, if the canal seals up some more, there's a bunch of factors in it. And we're so close of it drying up that, I mean, they're not gonna tell us that we have 2 years, 5 years, or 6 months. It's the best guess. Cause they honestly don't really know either. It's their best hydrologist prediction.
But what they did forecast out for us, Stone Quarry's about a 200 foot deep. They projected out what would happen if Stone Quarry went to about 300 foot deep, which was drying up. I think well 1 had a couple feet to play with. Well 3 had about 100 foot. The rest of the wells would be dry if US Aggregates went down to that depth.
But they don't feel they'll do that in the next 5 years, or at least don't anticipate doing that.
Correct.
Well, there's lots of guessing going on, and I guess that's part of the thing, but what we do is not gonna be guessing, it's gonna be, we're gonna have to do something.
So does US Aggregates, are they kind of going horizontally for a while? Rather than deeper?
That's what they indicated, that their 5-year mine plan shows.
We still have a proposal out, in fact, it's being bid right now to hook well 3 to well 5. And I think the next thing we need to do is to talk about aeration, because well 3 is, it's not no good to us, but it's not a long-term solution. You know, we can't be pumping 1,000 gallons a minute into the system of that water.
Not unless it's aerated.
That's what I mean.
And that's something we talked about today as well. If we drill another well on the golf course, a potential well 7, It's anticipated it would have the same sulfide concentration, if not higher, depending on how deep we drill it. So we would want that well, if we dug it, to be tied into the aeration as well, so we'd want it sized accordingly. But right now, Peerless thought that a well 7 could get us around 1,000 gallons a minute, but it could be probably anywhere between 500 and 1,000.
Does the amount of water you put through aeration depend on the cost of the aeration? I mean, is there?
Yeah, and you have to have like, it's 30 minutes detention time, so that varies on the size of the
I'll say
tank.
that again, you gotta have what?
Detention time, 30 minutes of
What's
detention
that mean?
time for it to air off completely.
I thought he said that was for iron.
And iron, yeah, that helps on both. But
So it's
iron
gotta
has
be in
different
the,
filters.
it's in the, gotta be in the aeration system for 30 minutes?
Detention, so it goes in and cascades over everything and drops in. And normally they wait about 30 minutes before it's pumped back out. For it to continually to air it off and settle out all, if there's iron in it or whatever, to settle out the bottom of the tank.
But we have to aeration, we have to have a tank and the aeration system.
Mhm.
But you could aerate anything out there, couldn't you? Do well 4, well 5, well 3,
Well, the
well 1,
plan
well
is
2?
to put the aeration in so we can lower well 5 in the hole that it's in now. We can lower it an extra 30 to 40 foot, but we're not gonna get the gallons per minute, and the pump that needs to be put in there, we don't have electricity to put the upsized pump in there. So if you had aeration, we can pump right to the tank without against the head pressure to the system.
Pump out of well 3 you're talking about?
Well 5.
So you pump well 5 into the tank, you're not gonna aerate that.
It'll still go through the aeration.
Oh, okay.
There's no way to get around that.
But we'll get extended life out of that.
Yeah.
Out of that
We'll be able to
well.
get the rest of that water that's down in that hole without upgrading all the electrical lines, which comes all the way up.
Can we
the road.
aerate well 3 at the same time, or you gotta?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be
Okay.
designed for,
1, 3, 5, 7.
yeah, I mean, you're looking at like 2,000 gallon per minute aerators or whatever it comes out to be. 1,000 gallon per minute aerators, whatever it comes up to be.
What are we looking for in terms of the potential right now without any increase in factors? Are we looking at 1,500,000?
Well, it depends with our firm capacity. So let's say firm capacity of, is it 1.2, 1.3?
Yeah, something like that.
So that's what we would need each day, assuming that our highest producing well was offline. So assuming right now it'd be well 5, when we get well 3 online, it'd be assuming well 3 was offline.
We can't count well 3 until we hook it up, can we?
Correct.
But once we hook it up, we can count it?
As for capacity, yeah.
Well, that in itself will help us, won't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, still, if you lose well 4 or 5,